Hello everyone. Let us now discuss how can we solve this problem. So we are going with an integer n return true if it is a power of 2, otherwise return false. So might have been solved with a loop or recursion. I'll also explain you how we can do without a loop or recursion. So integer n is if it is a power of 2, then if there exists an integer x such that n is equal to 2 power x. So if n can be represented in powers of 2, then return true. If not, if not, return false. That's all the question is about. Now I have n is equal to 1. 2 power 0 is equal to 1. So we have returned true. Now I have 16. So for this 16, I represented as 2 into 8. Now 8 is represented as 2 into 4. Now 4 as 2 into 2. Now 2 as 2 into 1. And when I got 1, I'll return true here. And I'll return true here, and also here true, and also here true. Now let us take an example 3. Can it be represented with 2 into something? No, return false there itself. Now let us take an example something like -1 or -211, whatever it might be. If it is less than 0, or if it is less than or equal to 0, what I'll do, I'll just return false. If it is 0, it can't be represented in two powers, right? Now I got three conditions: is if n is less than or equal to 0, return false there itself, and if n mod 2 is not equal to 0. That means if I divide 3 with 2, I get two ones are 2's, and 3 minus 2 will give me 1 as a remainder. So if the remainder is not 0, return false. But before returning false, for 1, I said if I got 1, then I would return true, right? So I need to write it first. So if n is equal to 1, here, if n is equal to 1, return true. I'll tell you how. First thing, here, when I got n is equal to 1, I just returned a true. Here also true, here also true, here also true. So if n is equal to 1, then I'll return true. If not, n mod 2 is not, if it is n mod 2 is not equal to 0, is not equal to 0, then return false. Now, I write it for a recursion code, right? So, bool recursion int n. Now, if n is less than or equal to 0, return false. If n is equal to 1, return true, right? So that means we got n is equal to 1. That means we have got the end, right? But every time what I'm calling for, 2 into 8, I called for 8. 2 into 4, I called for 4. 2 into 2, I called for 2. So, return recursion of n by 2. That's what I did here. 16 by 2 is 8, 8 by 2 is 4, 4 by 2 is 2, 2 by 2 is 1. So we'll return here itself. So in the main function, return recursion of n. Now it is a recursive code, but how can I solve this without loop or recursion? I'll tell you how. Let us represent all those two powers first. 1, 2, 2 square is 4, 2 cube is 8, 2 power 4 is 16, 2 power 5 is 32, and so on. If you see, if I represent this in binary, 1, triple 0, and so on for 31 bits. Right, this is the first bit and remaining 31 bits. Now for 2, 1 0 and 0, and again all are zeros, but I have only 1 0 at this position. Now for 4, 1 double 0 and so on 0. Now for 8, 1 triple 0 and 0, all are zeros. For 32, 1 and zeros, and again. So every time, if you see, I got only in bit representation set bit for just one time, right? Set bit for just one time. Now here also set bit for just one time, here also set bit for just one time. Same thing, same thing. So I'm just representing in binary representation, and if I count the set bits, if it is 1, then I will return true, right? So if number of set bits is equal to 1, then I will return true. Not only that, I need to check if n is greater than 0, and if number of set bits is equal to 1, then I'll return true. So how do I write the one line code for this? I'll write the code here. So int whatever the function name might be, we have int n, right? So this is the main function. So return, how do I count the number of set bits? So for that I'll have a built-in pop count, which is a STL function in C++ standard template library function. So if built-in pop count of n is equal to 1, this is the first condition, and n should be greater than 0. You can make this up, and you can take this down. So if these two are true, then only we'll return true. If not, I'll return false. So this is just a one line code, and if you like this video, do share to your friends and do subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching this video.